Yes, I am wearing a hat today. I know it affects the shading over my face, but I'm having a bad hair day. So I will be wearing a hat as I discuss the Crow remake.
Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side.
Hi everyone, my name is Jacob Berry. Welcome to my vidcast where I talk about all things pop culture. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. If you want to support the channel, head on over to my locals page. The link is in the description. All right, so for those of you who may not remember, The Crow was a sort of supernatural horror superhero film that starred the late, great Brandon Lee. That's right, the son of martial arts superstar Bruce Lee. He had been in a couple of movies prior to this, but this was going to be his big break. And tragically, he died in an accident on set involving a stunt that went terribly wrong. And basically, he had filmed a lot of the scenes, so they had his stunt double wear his makeup, and they used very early CGI effects to recreate his face so that it would look like him, and they gave him full credit. The actor who was in the scene with him when he passed away had really hard time over that. He had a lot of guilt. He felt responsible. It was a really sad story. Now, the Crow, believe it or not, is actually based on a graphic novel. It's very hard to find these days, the classic. Trust me, I have tried. Many people who have it are selling it for way more than it's worth, but it is an icon because, like I said, when the movie came out in 1994, it was this big deal. It was directed by Alex Proyas, and it was huge, not just because of the tragic passing of Brandon Lee, but just because it's an all around good superhero movie, especially if you're looking for one that's kind of not Marvel or DC and you're more into horror. The Crow is a good place to start. Now, it's a little freaky, it's a little weird, and certainly not for children, but I actually enjoyed it. For someone who doesn't really like the horror genre, just because it's not my jam, no shade, I still enjoyed it. I thought it was good. So they released a trailer for a remake where Bill Skarsgård is going to portray the character that Brandon Lee portrayed. Eric Draven is his name. So the premise looks very similar. He's like this sort of goth rock star who is in a very loving relationship. He and his girlfriend get assaulted by this gang of thugs. They both get killed, but as Eric's soul goes up or down, depending on the writer of the movie. A spiritual crow grabs him and brings him back in order to exact revenge on the people who perpetuated the crime. And the story looks identical. In fact, The Crow had several sequels. The original Crow, I mean, the 1994 one, had several sequels. Now, I've never seen any of them, and they all portray different crows, except they did a TV show called Stairway to Heaven, where a different actor portrayed Draven, similar to how Bill Skarsgård is doing. And there have been numerous comic books over time that have continued the story of Draven or have followed other crows. Basically, they're given super strength, they can kind of jump high and have a lot of dexterity and athleticism, and they're immortal basically unless someone shoots the crow, the original crow that brought them into the world. So that's kind of a long about. And there have been some debate because like I said, I enjoyed the 1994 film. I watched it just because I am a big Bruce Lee fan. I think this new modern day where he's got a lot of detractors all of a sudden is really dumb. It's really stupid. We actually have footage of Bruce Lee performing martial arts and fighting. And so the criticism he gets is absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, I wanted to honor his memory one year by watching Brandon Lee's films, and The Crow was obviously in that slate. And here's the thing, it kind of has a cult classic feel to it, just of how it's filmed, the production values in it. Like I said, some of the more horror vibes to it, but it is still a fantastic film, and many people consider it a mainstream success. I don't think it needs to be remade. The question is, why are they doing it? Well, the answer is easy. For some reason, Hollywood is all into remakes these days, and they are, working overtime to bring you content that has already been successful. Now, yes, the 90s was a while ago, but normally when a remake happens, it would be years later. Many of the original people had passed away, or they had retired, or maybe the original wasn't that good and someone thought that they could do it a little better, take the same concept, that sort of thing. But it seems today Hollywood is just doing sequels and reboots just to get money based on the name recognition. And that's kind of how I feel that what they're doing when I watch The Crow, because like I said, it is the original Crow was built by someone who really had an understanding of sort of goth rock and how that worked and how that music scene worked. Watching the new Crows trailer, it feels more like it's written by someone who thinks they know it. Like maybe they had a friend who was goth and they got all the information from them. And no offense to Bill Skarsgård, because he is a talented actor, I don't think he was right for that role. I think that they should, if they were going to remake it, they should have gotten someone else, not Bill Skarsgård. That's just my opinion. Maybe when the movie comes out, I will change it. But just watching the trailer, my initial reaction is thinking, this was kind of a miscast. And also, one of the things about the original one was the villains were just as freaky as the Crow. So the Crow's already got a freaky vibe, right? He's a goth rock icon brought back to life to exact revenge. Well, the enemies he was fighting, they were just as weird and freaky, and it gave the movie like this really solid sort of overtone. I was going to say undertone, but it's really more of an overtone of just how messed up the situation is. In the Bill Skarsgård one, the villains just kind of look ordinary. Yes, they're shown to be very violent, brutal even, but it doesn't have that same amount of weirdness that came with the original version of The Crow. And I just don't think it's worth remaking just because the original is so beloved, not just because of the passing of its star, but because that the movie persevered despite that. And Brandon Lee now is remembered fondly in that, even though I wish he was still alive today. I think he would be doing amazing films. Maybe he'd be retired by now. I don't know, but I still think he would have gone on to make really great films like his father did. I really think he had a hold on that legacy. And I think with The Crow remaking it, especially the original one, because originally when they were doing more Crows, they were just trying to do sequels, and then they tried to do a TV show, and none of them really panned out. Now, I did hear the TV show was well received when it was released, but it only ran for one season before it was canceled. So take that with a grain of salt. Like I said, I don't think that this is more of a financial reach for the studio that's doing the remake. That would be Lionsgate. And I think with Lionsgate, they were one of the up and coming movie studios when I was a teenager. I actually auditioned to voice Iron Man. I've told the story a couple times for an animated film that Lionsgate did called The Ultimate Avengers 1 and 2. I auditioned for that role. They were up and coming. Everyone wanted a piece of them. People thought that they would even challenge the Big Five at some point, the Big Five as they were back then. But it doesn't seem to be that way anymore. It seems that Lionsgate has kind of fallen on hard times, and that could be not necessarily of the quality of the movies. It could just be how everything has come together in the film industry, because it does seem like Disney, Warner Brothers, Amazon slash MGM, they have a hold onto things right now. And it's very, very tedious point in the media landscape. So I think that Lionsgate made a misfire here. I don't think this movie is going to be well received. Bill Skarsgård will just forever be compared to Brandon Lee, or even worse, he'll be compared to one of the sequel Crows. And like I said, the sequels were not well received. I've never even bothered to watch them. I've only seen The Crow. Like I said, I've tried to get my hands on the original graphic novel with no success. However this plays out, maybe I'm wrong. Like I said, I react to trailers, but I try not to let it skew how I'm going to watch the film. Now, I haven't decided if I am going to see this film. Let me know in the comments below if you think I should. I go back and forth because, like I said, I love the first one so much, to the surprise of even me, but it is a movie that I enjoy a great deal. And so, should I watch this new one and do a review about it, break it down? What do y'all think? But I just think that Hollywood needs to hit the brakes on the remakes. They need to start bringing in better writers who could produce original content. Or if you're going to do a remake or a sequel, do it well and do it with a property that people can get behind and not one that is just, has this massive fan base. You can slap a label on it and then do whatever you want to with it, which is what we're getting a lot these days. And the audience, they're starting to take note.
Cause I've been living life